Hi guys, I hope you're doing very well. This video is sponsored by Match Bingo. Match Bingo is an easy way of having fun when it comes to betting on the football. Now, think of bingo, but without numbers. So rather than having 10, 12, 5, you would have corners, yellow cards, and goals, for example. And that would be an example of a line. Now, you can win up to £175 each game with Match Bingo. There are some games you can win more, and spend is only capped at £2. All right, so if you're worried about not playing responsibly, this is probably a good game for you. I do just want to give these guys a little bit of appreciation as well, because 35% of the money they make actually goes to the Stroke Association, which is really, really good, to be fair. I don't know many companies that do that. Let me know what you guys think. Click the link in the description and make sure you're over 18 as well. Hello everyone from Chelsea Fan TV. I hope you're all doing very well. Today in this video I wanted to talk about Todd Boehly coming out, doing an interview with Forbes magazine. And there seems to be a bit of controversy around it, some of which I agree with, some of which maybe not so much. We're going to dive straight into it. So let me guys give you a quick overview. This interview was for Forbes, which for those of you who don't know what Forbes is, it's a magazine where they basically talk to billionaires and people like that. Boehly's one of the richest people in the world. It's fair enough why he go on Forbes. The problem that a lot of Chelsea fans seem to have is, why the hell has he come out and spoken to Forbes and not spoken to us? We're going to dive into some of the quotes that Boehly said and some of the statements as well surrounding Chelsea and the whole situation in that sense. I'm going to read a couple of things, but yeah. So, they talk about Boehly's group spending more than 1.3 billion luring star players like Enzo Fernandez, Moises Caicedo to Chelsea, but unlike the Dodgers, which is his baseball team, success has not followed. Typically a perennial contender, Chelsea finished just 12th in the Premier League in the 22-23 season, its worst finish in 29 years, and is currently in 11th place this year. 2 managers were fired during Boehly's first season in charge. The Sun panned one humiliating loss last year as diabolical, and during matches, fans occasionally broke into chants that vulgarly described Boehly as parts of the human anatomy. For those of you who watched Brentford away this season, they're referring to that kind of stuff, right? So chants where the fans are chanting against Boehly, against Clearlake, calling him a C word. And this is what Boehly had to say, right? We just need to let the process develop and give the players time to go from being unbelievable individual players with great skills to fold into a team. Boehly says the good news is people care so much, and the bad news is people care so much. That leads to times when they're frustrated with the teams and the owners. I get that, but we just have to continue to stay the course. And then after that quote, this is what Forbes magazine wrote. Not that it really matters, love him or hate him, Todd Boehly knows that so long as fans show up or tune in, his annuity holding backers will get paid and his billions will continue to grow. Now, we're going to touch on the quote first, because that's the main point, right? This is Boehly essentially addressing Chelsea fans indirectly, whether he knows it or not. He says that we need to let the process develop and give them time to go from being unbelievable individual players with great skills to fold into a team. So what Boehly's saying is that individually, on paper, we have great players, but they haven't been given enough time to play together and mould and have that chemistry. Now, I agree and disagree with that. So let's go with what I agree with. First of all, I agree with the fact that they need more time to play together. Irrespective of how good a team is, if they're not given time to play together, do you really know if there's any chemistry? Do you actually know if there's anything there? If you bring in a player from another team, I don't know, let's just say Man City, right? They bring in a top player, Haaland, for example, right? Really good player. and maybe a little bit different to some of the other players they have. Unique, right? But that base, that foundation was already laid at Man City. That foundation was already set. They had an owner that had been there for 10 plus years, whatever it is. Board of directors, stable. Manager, 5 years or more. Coaching staff, the same thing. Players that had been there, some of them 7, 8 years, some of these guys, So when you look at what Man City had, and this is just an example, that is a stable environment. So you slot into that environment and you look around you, you get to know the culture. Then you look at us, Chelsea. Now let's just look at the players that we've brought in, for example, that Forbes have listed. Enzo Fernandez, Moises Caicedo, and then maybe add a few more like, I don't know, Gusto, Cucurella, Petrovic, Disasi, all of these players, right? So they've come into this culture and it's not stable whatsoever. It's just all over the place. There's new groundsmen, there's new medical staff, there's new management. That's been changed multiple times. There's new assistant managers, there's new board directors. Everything is different. Everything is changing, still changing. And only now we sort of have something that's, okay, that might stick for a while. Okay, we don't know if that's actually going to happen, but it seems like we've set the foundations for a team at Chelsea collectively that will stay there. Pochettino is obviously debatable. He might get sacked, but generally speaking, there's not going to be too many other changes in the short term. I think most of you will agree with that. But when Boehly talks about players being good individually, I don't know where that... I don't really see that, to be quite honest with you, because individually good in what sense? What they could be? I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it. I'll be totally honest with you. I'm really struggling to see that. We think that we have a team to be up there competing with the players right here, right now. That's where I disagree. And I think that the investment strategy in the short term, it's another conversation talking about the long term, but the short term investment strategy in terms of getting results with quality players has been disastrous. And that is where I look at this ownership group and go, you know what? You have been the worst owners in world football over the past 2 years. No exceptions. That's just a fact. Look at where we've finished. Unbelievable. Mid-table last season out of both domestic cup competitions, FA Cup, Carabao Cup and the opening rounds. Not great in Europe, let's be honest. Poor football, terrible. But this season we have improved. There's no two ways about it. If you look at our actual results, and I know it's not a major improvement from league form, but I do think we're playing better football, and obviously domestically in the cups we're more successful. But yeah, back on to what we were saying earlier with Boehly. So I disagree with the fact that he thinks the players individually are good enough, but I agree with the fact that they need to mould and gel together. I think with any team, that's just logical, right? Any environment, any working environment, you need people to get used to each other so they can understand how each other works, and then you can have a bit of chemistry. And I think people ultimately, when they're more comfortable, can thrive in their environments more. Cool. What else has he said? So, the good news is people care so much, and the bad news is people care so much. That leads to times where they're frustrated with the team and the owners. I get that, but we just have to continue to stay the course. So, this is a really interesting point that Boehly makes, and there is obviously truth to this, and there's some stuff which is a little bit out of touch. Let's just say it like that. It's not exactly empathetic. He's not empathizing with Chelsea fans here. Obviously, Chelsea fans are very passionate. Football fans generally are. And that's what Boehly's getting at, right? He's saying that's the good thing. He's also saying it's not great, because when you are trying to build for a long-term project, again, it's long-term. So you have to be patient. So when fans are being toxic and booing players and chanting against the ownership and chanting against the management and the board of directors, all of these people, doesn't help. So I agree with that, right? If I was a player on the pitch and I was being booed, that wouldn't fill me with confidence. If I was a manager and being constantly criticised, I don't think that really helps, like in the dressing room and ultimately performance-wise, I don't think it helps. But what it does do is it highlights the standard, right? And where Chelsea should be and where we want to be. And the reason fans are being so critical and so negative is because they believe that Chelsea need to be at the top all the time, providing consistent results. And I agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. And I'm totally on board with that. But I think that we have to have a little bit of context, guys. When we spent all this money, we spent this money on potential, knowing that it was potential, agreeing that it was potential. And now that we're not getting the short-term results, we're complaining. And this is a question I put to everyone in the comments section. Please let me know what you think. How long is a long-term project? In terms of actually getting long-term results, how long would you give a project long-term? Is it 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? You let me know. Because for me, I'm really going to start judging this ownership properly from year 3. So by the end of this next summer transfer window, that's when I'm going to be critical of these owners or potentially back them depending on their strategy in the transfer market, right? I'm still very much on the fence, to be totally honest with you guys. I haven't made my decision on these owners. I think it's very clear that they want to make money, and Forbes highlight that at the beginning, at the end of their article. They said, not that it really matters, love him or hate him, Boehly knows that as long as fans keep coming, his annuity holders, backers will get paid and his billions will continue to grow. So what does that say? Obviously, they're in for the pound note, as people like to say. I don't disagree with that. I think obviously these guys want money. The question is, do they also want success? And I would say that from Boehly's track record with basketball and with baseball with the Dodgers, he is an owner that cares about success. But I would not say the same about Clear Lake. I wouldn't say the same about them. There is nothing to indicate that Clear Lake Capital care about the success of Chelsea Football Club other than financially. And unfortunately, they're the majority shareholders, not Todd Boehly. So he has very, very limited power in this situation. Ultimately, what Clear Lake want to do is going to happen. So I'm more concerned about them than I am about Boehly. And I think that people are starting to realise that anyway. If anyone thinks that Boehly is, top of the food chain in that sense, the one calling the shots, it's just not true. It's Barley, it's Feliciano, it's Clear Lake. And I'm not a big fan at all of what has happened. It's been an absolute disgrace. But I do think that we can give this ownership one chance to try and rectify things, right? I'm not saying change the model because, again, it's a long-term model. So I can't judge a long-term model in the short term. I need more time to actually figure out if we've reached that target. If it's 5 years down the line and we're just as bad, you can bet that everyone is going to say, that was a disgraceful long-term project. You did nothing. You took us backwards. You're an absolute disgrace of an ownership. Clown Lake, all of that stuff. I'm here for it. But I need to see if we can rectify our mistakes. We've spent big money on relatively average players, if we're talking about the here and now. Very young players, inexperienced players. So what I want to see in the summer is bringing in some better quality players who can lead this team forward and push us. Give the younger players something to look forward to, look up to. Because right now we are missing that little bit of magic right now. And charisma. We really struggle to have charisma at the moment and leadership. But yeah, I mean, they just say they're going to stay the course. That's what they're going to do. I don't think that Boehly and the ownership are going to be changing their strategy anytime soon. The question is, are they going to be buying young players with potential, or are they going to buy some good young players that, we can get behind? I'm sure if we sign Kylian Mbappe, nobody would complain. But it's obviously not going to go like that. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. I tried to give sort of a level-headed view on that. Again, we know these owners are here for money. I don't like it, but I don't think there's many owners in world football at the top level who are getting into the game that aren't interested in money. I think we were just very, very lucky with Abramovich, and you can still have success with owners like that. We've seen what FSG have done with Liverpool. There are other examples out there as well. But, you know, we're doing a very unique strategy. I don't know what to think of it yet. I'm going to make my decision after the summer. I know a lot of you guys have already made your decision, and that's totally fair enough. But yeah, Boehly, if there's one thing I would have said, is if you would have said anything like this to Chelsea fans directly, we would have appreciated that a lot more. And the fact that he's gone and said this with Forbes, with just a random company, you know, it does leave a lot of questions in terms of communication with the fans and the effort to communicate with the fans, which is something that we were promised when Boehly and Clearlake took over Chelsea. So I hope that can change, because that is one thing that I will really criticise right now. It's been 0 out of 10 so far, really. It's the communication with the fans. It's been shocking. The reply to the Chelsea Supporters Trust from Chris Jurasek was absolutely baffling. It was a disgrace. So we need to upgrade on that. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? And how long is long term? How long should we wait?